Hi everyone. Well, today I'm going to attempt to do the garden video for 2024. Dahlias were late this year, so it's been a later video for sure. I'm going to start out today with the perennial garden. This was new this year. It's a little wild. Not knowing how to do perennials, I planted lots of plants. And so I got a little crowding going on, but live and learn. That's what gardening's all about. So here is my calendula. This was a winter sowing project where I sowed the seeds in the winter, put them outside in March, let them sit outside until they sprouted, and then planted. I did this coneflower as well. You can see the pink coneflower there. That was also a winter sowing project. The rudbeckia back there I purchased. That did not come up for me during winter sowing. I think I had some bad seed. Behind them, those are my delphiniums, which were part of winter sowing, and they look gorgeous. And everyone told me they would not bloom this year, but they've bloomed like crazy. Further down here, I have some celosia. I did not seed that. I purchased that. And then down a little farther in the center here, you see some lavender that I sowed. Behind the lavender and next to the celosia is some lupin. These I did winter sow. I had some lupin that blossomed this spring, but these came up a few days ago and they're blossoming now and looking really nice. Behind the lupin, this whole flat kind of plant, which is a lot of green, was my bee balm. And during a windstorm, the wind came and flattened it right out in the center. It was big, huge, beautiful bushes, but now it's pretty flat in the center. I'm still cutting it for greenery, and it works well, but it just doesn't look all that hot. I think I'm going to have to thin that out a little bit when I get to fall and start digging stuff up. Over here is some Victorian blue flower that someone from my garden club gave me. I think Claire gave me. That's beautiful. Looks good in the arrangements as well. Over here are some snapdragons. They're about to their end. I've cut them back and cut them back. I was hoping to get another rebloom before fall, but they're kind of slow. Bachelor buttons are these flattened plants. If you look very carefully, closely, you can see the little flowers, bachelor button flowers, and another cone flower there. Over here I have a sage plant. Also, I cut this for greenery, and it's an herb, salvia, so it's also good in the bouquets. Another bachelor button, and on the other side is my workhorse, which is my lemon balm. It goes in just about every bouquet. Looking pretty good and growing like mad. Probably something else I'm gonna have to dig in the fall. There's a few more snapdragons finally starting to open up again. Then of course we have the stars of the show, and that's the dahlias. And I'm try to do this in the right order so my shadow doesn't get there. This is my Pacific Ocean. It starred in many videos as a beginner. I've had it for a long time and I just love it. It's just the cutest little flower ever. And it's a border dahlia. Doesn't grow very tall, but it sure is very pretty dahlia. Another one that was new last year, this is Honka. It's an orchid type. Very cool. Looks like stars. Have a lot of new varieties this year. I may have to check a few tags so that I get the names right. This one is Takeoff. This is an anemone dahlia. As you can see, maybe a little bit better, that the center's a kind of a fuzzy little center, and that's typical of anemones. A new one this year, new for 2024. Another new introduction for 2024 is this dahlia. This is called Salish Twilight Girl. What I love about this dahlia, even though I have a lot of pink dahlias, is that the reverse of the petals is a different color than the front. It's much darker on the reverse, and it looks very cool from a side view. You got the light with the dark. I'm really loving that flower. I wanted it really badly. Got it this year and put it in the garden. Down here to Verone's Obsidian. This is another orchid dahlia that I've grown for a couple of years now. The orchid dahlias make very good seed. As you can see over here, the bees are really working it. They love that. Down here is Arabian Night. This is a very dark red dahlia. One of my favorites. Tends to look like velvet on the petals. I have Blue Wish that did not grow. You can see way down there, there's a tiny little plant. I'm hoping that there's still a tuber in the ground, though. We'll see what happens. Here I have Peaches. This is a beautiful pinky peach dahlia with a peach center. I believe it's a formal decorative. It tends to wrap completely around the back of the stem to the stem. Very pretty dahlia. See if I can get around to get a front view of that. There we go. Peaches. Very nice dahlia. Looks great in a triple. Here is Diva. This is a new dahlia to me also. I have tons of new ones this year. It's a big purple. It resembles Boogie Nights, which I've had for many years. But it's quite a bit bigger. Quite a bit more, little different petal shape. Seems to work good in bouquets. Have this one, Shaggy Chic, has not yet blossomed. Still have a handful that haven't blossomed yet. So I don't think I have a duplicate of this one anywhere. So we won't be able to see that today. This one is one I've grown before. I almost lost it last year. Had to reorder. This is Ferncliff Inspiration. And it's a beautiful pale lavender flower. And it's very large. It's one of my favorites. I just love this dahlia. And didn't want to lose it. So I had to order a new tuber this year. Here's another. This is a center court that hasn't yet bloomed. This one here is Parkland Rave. This is a pretty popular show dahlia. It's a very pink cactus type dahlia. Has a darker center. My tag is not cooperating. So that's Parkland Rave. I've got 2 plants of Parkland. One of my favorites here is Laura Ashley. This is a water lily. You can see from this bloom here, it looks like a water lily. If it were in the water, it would be face up, and it's a really beautiful orangey rust color. Goes very well in bouquets. This one doesn't have a name. It was given to me as peachy yellow. It appears to be a ball dahlia or a formal deck. I'm not really sure. Sometimes they're hard to tell the difference. But it's a very pretty dahlia. and seems to be a good cut flower. Couple more. Well, here's Miss Amara. She's hiding over here and hasn't fully opened yet. Miss Amara. She's a yellow, pink-centered dahlia. I wanted this one also. Was lucky to get it from a friend. Next one is Fire Magic, not yet bloomed. Down here is a Holly Huston that I actually cut and took to the dahlia show. I only have a blossom here, not even opened yet, but I have another one in the other aisle open. This is sterling. It's a beautiful white. I have several sterling in the garden this year. It's a prolific tuber maker. I really like it. I love its form, and it's a really bright white. Down here is another new one, Silver Years, a very pale pink. I don't believe it's a water lily, but it was given to me by a friend who grows a lot of water lilies, and that's a very nice blush dahlia. And here's a very popular dahlia. This is Cafe au Lait. This is a really pretty dahlia. It's very big and it's pale pinkish, but my very first bloom was very rosy colored, and I guess they do have a variation in the color. If we look over here on the back side, here's another Cafe au Lait that you can see is way more peachy pale, peachy whitish. It seems to throw a whole lot of different colors, but it has a beautiful form. Here's an old classic. This is Crazy Love. Few people have this one. I passed around a lot of tubers this year for Crazy Love. It's so pretty with its picotee. The picotee is the edging that you see, the purple edging that you see on the flower. Another white flower. Down here's a water lily that's new to me that I really wanted this year. This is Pam Howden, and it's really, it just glows, this one. It's orangey, pinkish. We have a little breeze today making this a little hard to do, but very, very pretty. Got some yellow in it, and it gets pretty large for a water lily. And another flower that you see in the show a lot. Over here is the old time, beautiful, large Thomas Edison. This is a very old variety. Was originated in 1921, I believe. So a very old dahlia. I'm really happy that it still grows and it's so beautiful. When this is put in a vase, all I can ever think of is velvet. It looks like velvet. Another new one to me, thanks to my friend Marianne, who donated a whole lot of tubers to me. This is Vancouver. Not yet open, but you can tell it's going to be a big, very large purple with some white tips to the petals. Very pretty. That's going to be gorgeous. Here's another one I did grow last year. It's a little bit smaller dahlia. Looks, it's a semi-cactus, and it's called Herbert Smith. It's quite bright pink. Really love this one, and this is the only one that came up. I planted 3. It's the only one that came up. So I gotta tend to that carefully so I have more tubers for next year. Let's see, another Crazy Love. We're gonna pass that up. Here is Mollinator, which is an open-centered dahlia. I keep this dahlia not because I like it so much, but because the bees love it, and it makes really good seeds. And you'll see when I get to the seedlings that I did this year, its influence on the new seedlings. Another very tiny plant that didn't really grow up for me too well, Urbana. Maybe I'll get a bloom on that before frost. This dahlia is another silver years that we saw back there a little bit further. This pink one, lots of pinks and whites in this garden this year. This one is pink Onestra. This is the best bloom I guess I've got here. Very nice, bright pink. Better get it early because it seems to blow its centers pretty quickly, but looks nice in a vase. Moving down to the end, I have Hawaii. I did grow this flower last year and I was not at all happy with it. I surprised myself by putting it back in the garden this year. It's done better this year. Last year, as soon as I cut it, it would just fall apart. You couldn't let it get even as big as this one because the petals just fell off of it very quickly, which makes for not a good cut flower. But I put it back in the garden. It is a pretty dahlia, so it's taken up some space. Maybe it'll get a reprieve. Here's another dahlia. This is I believe this is a collarette or maybe an orchid. Orchid, I guess I would say. This one's called Fancy Pants. The names. People come up with the greatest names. When I go to name my new seedlings, I don't know if I'll be that creative. But that's a really cute dahlia. The bees love it. Hoping to just get pollinators on it. And I've got some Verones and some more Honka in this little spot. Another takeoff. Down here is a new one. Another new one. This is a ball dahlia. This is called Valley Rust Bucket. So when it's very early, it's pretty orange and it's kind of small. When it gets a little older, it kind of fades out a little bit. You can see this one's a little faded in color if I can keep out of the sun. You can see the little difference. It's a little more yellow on the edge than this one's very orange. Gets a little orangey yellow. Down here, one of Ken Learn's introductions. This is Allie. This Allie's not open quite fully yet. It's a beautiful yellow dahlia. I love it. It's a great cut flower. Next is Colorado Classic. A really good winner in the shows. It's a big dahlia. I did pass this one along to a lot of you this year who are going to grow. I have another sterling. Let's see. Here's a new one. This one that's Ken's. Oh, this one here is Kamano Sitka. And the camera's not going to help me out much. This is another cactus dahlia. I wanted some different forms to put in my vases. So I like this. It's a pale peachy with a yellow. Very pretty. Just to give everything a little different, just a little difference from the formal decorative type. So really I'm liking that. That one will probably stay for next year as well. Moving around, I have several that I have not opened. Crazy Legs. Here's a Laura Ashley. I had to replant. I had some tubers rot, so I had to do some replanting early. Here's another Allie. Allie's such a beautiful flower. I really love it. That one's relatively closed. This one's more open right here. You can't really see, but it does have a pink blush to it sometimes. Moving along down here. Here is my Kenny L. I've named this dahlia after the person who gave me the seedling. I tried to get it recognized this year in the show, but it didn't get reviewed, or it did get reviewed, but I guess I had a problem with the centers. I'm not really sure. Anyway, moving along, because this is going to be a long video. This is Nicholas. Nicholas is a very large orange and yellow dahlia. Very pretty in the garden and in a vase. It makes a really good fall dahlia. See if I can get it in here. Pull back. It's beautiful in with fall colors. One new one that I actually had posted earlier, and I don't have a really great example because they're not quite fully open, but this one is called Linda's Baby. And I grew Linda's Baby this year for Daniel's sister, who passed away around Easter time. And I wanted something with her namesake to put in the garden. It's been a prolific bloomer. You can see if I back up, the plant is just loaded with blooms. It's a formal deck, I believe, not a ball dahlia. This one is a new one, just one big in the show with this dahlia. This is Coralie, another very pale kind of pink with a kind of a purple center, but it's a very nice bee-size formal decorative dahlia. I really am loving that one as well. Down here at the end, another one of Kenny's introductions. This is a mini ball dahlia. This one is not fully open, but this one is Louvet. And Louvet and Urbana and Allie and Susie, they were all introduced by our friend in the Dahlia Society, Ken Learn from Bath, New York. So this is a beautiful little mini ball, very lavender in color, very pretty. Over here is what everybody wants to be happy. This is Be Happy. The bees love this. Another open-centered dahlia that I plant specifically for the pollinators. Really love Be Happy. It's one of my favorites. Here's Ken's Urbana. If I can get around here to show you. This is a really nice, I think it's an informal decorative dahlia. Not getting a very good shot of it there, but it's a beautiful pink. And when it first opens, it has kind of a purpley center to it. Very, very nice dahlia. I'll have more tubers of that this year. It's a new one called Sweet Natalie. Another pale ivory pinkish dahlia. Nice. Another ball dahlia that's new this year. This one's called Caitlin's Joy. This is definitely a ball dahlia. Grows like a little ball. A very unique color. It's got a yellow centered petal with pinky purple. It's very different color. Caitlin's Joy. This one here, new variety, Rivers Watermelon. Again, I'm getting a lot of shadow here, but pretty dahlia. It's more of a stellar, what they call a stellar form. You can see how the petals are very pointy. I'm really liking that one. It's been a good, so far, a good cut flower. This one here, I believe, is Boogie Nights. Purple, kind of like Diva, but little, just a different form and a little smaller, which is always good. Another new one called Cornell Bronze. This is a another very popular and very prolific dahlia. If I back up a little, you can see how many there are. It's a ball dahlia. Grows very pretty, very nice. And here's a classic that's been in the garden for many years now. This is Motto, one of my favorites. It's very yellow this year because we've had a lot of sun and heat. Usually is slightly more orange. You can see from this flower there's some orange there on the left hand side. It's usually a little more orange than it's showing up on these few flowers. Motto's one of my favorites. It's a terrible cut flower though. As soon as you cut it, the petals seem to fall. You better catch it really early. Here's one that's a little bit more orange looking. Pinelands Pam, not open yet. Looks like it's going to be a big red or pink or maybe a blend. Yellow and purple. Not sure. That's a new one to me too. This one down here, this is Susie. This is another Can Learn introduction. Named after another lady in our club. And it's a nice cactus. I find though that when I cut it, petals fall quickly. So you got to get it at a very early stage. This is another sterling. Beautiful big white. Moving down here, here's Holly Huston. I just won a first place with Holly Huston in the show on Saturday. It's a big dahlia, big red dahlia. It's an A size. The form, I'm not sure of. I think it might be semi-cactus. But it's a beautiful dahlia. And this one, believe it or not, this one was small. And this one's probably a good 6 inches across. So, big, bright red dahlia. Down here is a brand new one that should have been ready for the show on Saturday. I don't know what happened here. Met a person online from Pittsburgh. Her name was Sherry. She sent me this dahlia. This dahlia is called Ivory Palaces. And it's a pale, pale yellow. And it's very large. That dahlia's got to be at least 11 inches across. Very big. Now, Ivory Palaces is planted next to Kelvin Floodlight, which is a older dahlia. Older is in when it was originated. It's another very large dahlia. I usually have some very big specimens for the show. These are just now coming open. Here's another one. Here's one that's fully open over here. And you can see from how far I got to pull the camera back. That's another 10, at least a 10-inch bloom right there. These are all what they call giants. Ivory Palaces and Kelvin Floodlight are A-size dahlias, I believe. They're the biggest dahlias, dinner plates, some people call them. They're very, very big, and they love them in the shows. The bigger, the better in a lot of the dahlia shows. But a newer variety to me, and I was going to cut this today and did not, is Bear Creek Sunrise. This one's very pretty as well. It's a big pinky orangish with a yellow center. Kind of does look like a sunrise. Gonna move along down here. Here is Pinelands Princess. I've grown this for a few years. This is a lacinated dahlia along with the Crazy Love that it's next to. Kind of fuzzy. It's kind of a fuzzy dahlia. And surprise, surprise, surprise. This one I planted, I didn't know what it was. This is a flower that I've been growing for a number of years. I do not know the name of it. I call it crazy cactus. I thought I lost every tuber, but surprise to me, I did not lose it. This one was, I didn't label it. I planted it as a mystery tuber, and I can't believe that it's actually my crazy cactus, and I'm so happy that I still have it. Down here is another motto. Very nice dahlia. Here's a new one from this year. This one's called Rosella. You can see why. It's a rose color. This one's pretty open, kind of a more pinky. Here's a nice Urbana, one of Ken Learns. I believe this purple ball dahlia is Ivanetti. For some reason, it's giving me all open centers. But it is a nice ball dahlia. I've used it several times in my bouquets. Moving on, here's Clearview Peachy. It's a big formal deck, very pretty. Again, it's a very close in color to Caitlin's Joy, but a little larger flower. Down here's one that I had been just dying to get, and I got it this year, and I'm so happy. Again, this is Creme de Cassis, and Creme de Cassis is just like Salish Twilight Girl in that if we look at the back of the petals, you'll see that they're a whole different color than the front, and I just love that. And if you look very closely to the flower, you can see that the darker color is edged around every petal. So it has the picotee from the back. I am loving this dahlia. It's so beautiful. This is Picasso. Picasso thusly named for the splashes of red on the petals, like Picasso would paint. Another white dahlia. Another Linda's Baby from the top side. I have a few duplicates. Another Alley, which is very nice. Yellow. I love Alley. It makes a great cut flower. More Colorado. Another Parkland Rave. A lot of duplicates here. This one, along with the Cafe au Lait, sorry about that. The Cafe au Lait is Labyrinth, and you can see they're a similar form. Labyrinth is an orange, pinky, pale, beautiful big dahlia. So far, this is the first one that's bloomed for me, but I really love this. Hoping that this plant does very well and that I get lots of tubers for next year. Here's another Nicholas down here. Here's another Labyrinth over here. Try to get maybe in the shadow so you can see it a little better. Gonna come around to the other side. Kelvin. We're not sure what this big yellow dahlia is. It's very nice. I bought it as Clearview Daniel. It is not Clearview Daniel. Don't know the name of it. The person who sold it to me, I don't think she knows the name. But it's a very nice pale yellow dahlia. I like it. Over here, Lights Out. Another very dark dahlia. It's a ball dahlia as well. I really love the dark dahlias. They look like velvet so often. This flower here, Berner Oberland. It's a big flower and very prolific, obviously. It's got a ton of blooms on it. When I'm done here, I'm going to be deadheading a lot of the plants. Here's another Thomas Edison. Look how beautiful that is. It's so big. Move down here ways. It's a Parkland Rave in the aisle. This is Wisconsin Red. I just found out the name of this dahlia, and I was going to ditch it, and I wasn't going to grow it this year. It has a lot of downward or clock-facing blooms, but then I found out that it's a super old variety, maybe even older than Thomas, and then I just couldn't get rid of it. It's an heirloom dahlia, been around for many, many, many years, so I kept it. And I have actually used it a couple of times already. And then last but not least, we have two more in the end of my rows. This is Tahoma Kelly, very pale white with a very pink center. It's a small mini ball. And lastly, we have Wine Eye Jill. So you can see it's, actually here's a better, this is why it's Wine Eye, because you can see it's very dark in the middle. And then it fades to yellow and then fades to purple. Again, it's a small, I believe this is a ball dahlia, but I could be wrong. Could be a formal deck. I think I have another one over here, right here, that's a very good example of this flower, right here. You can tell, Wine Eye Jill. So that's the formal garden, the formal dahlia garden. Down my very last row of dahlias are seedlings that I planted. Seedlings, this are first year seedlings. I grew them from seed. Most seedling dahlias are open centered. Excuse the airplanes. Time for the jets to fly to North Carolina, I guess. These dahlias are mostly open-centered, but they're new to the world. No one's ever seen these dahlias before, including myself. So seed dahlias produce a dahlia that's part of one dahlia and part of another. Two different parents. Not all of them are keepers. If they don't have the right number of petals or the petal configuration isn't correct, they won't be kept. This one I probably will keep. This one's growing like an orchid type. It's not really the best example, but some of them are not looking so hot because I got to get in here and cut. But you can see from this example here how beautiful that is. I have this. This is a new seedling. I love the color of the seedling. It's just a different colored orange. Another nice one. Here's another open-centered. The seed parent for these is Be Happy. This one and Verone. This one's not a keeper because it doesn't have enough petals. Oh, actually, this one does. 8 petals it needs. But not every one. 1, 2, 3. This one has 10. But this is a beautiful color as well. Moving along down the seedling row is this big bright yellow. That's pretty unusual. Probably not a keeper, but it's very pretty. Going in some of my arrangements very well. Here's a purple. It's pretty nice, open-centered. These were, they're experiments, seedling dahlias. Now this dahlia wants to be a double, and it seems to have white tips, so I would guess that maybe its seed parent might have been duet with those white tips. And it wants to be a double. So doubles are good. You don't get many of those when you grow seedlings. Moving on down. The seed parent to this one was the Wisconsin Red. And this one definitely has a lot of those characteristics. And it is a full double. And it kind of looks like a stellar leaf. But very pretty. Probably, definitely will be keeping that one. And then there's a couple more that are not looking too hot, but are doubles. They've blown their centers already. I'll cut those back and maybe share a picture online. And here's a fully double one. This one I'm definitely keeping. We'll give it a formal name and try to grow it again next year. It's not very big. I'd say it's about a 4-inch bloom, but it's a very unique color. I'm sure it's showing up kind of purpley pink, but it's kind of a dusty rose in person. Maybe if I back off, it will be a little bit better. So that's the end of my seedling dahlias. I planted 25 of them, and they've come up and been lots of fun. I'm probably doing more seeds next year. I have some very nice zinnia. I'm going to back up so you can see my zinnia row. I have just hundreds of zinnias. These ones on the end, they were seed that I bought. These are called Binary Giants. And that particular one right there is probably a good 3-inch zinnia, which is not usual for zinnias. They don't usually get that big. But they've been fully doubles. Here's a real pretty dark purple one. And that one's not quite 4 inches. I'd say that's 2.5, maybe 3 inches. But just a gorgeous purple color. And as you can see, looking down the row, there's tons of zinnia. Most of the ones on the other end are just the small, regular size, small zinnia. But these ones here, this one here's a zinnia. This is another Binary Giant. Really loving the giants. They saved me when the dahlias were late so that I could actually put flowers on the stand. They come in all colors. And in the back, you can see my sunflowers. I planted a row of branching sunflowers. They're mostly done for the year. I'm going to go through and cut the heads and save the seeds and feed the birds with those. But I had all kinds. I had, if I can get over here a little closer, you might be able to see if I part the ways here. There's a very dark chocolate. It was a beautiful sunflower. All different color sunflowers. This one here, like an orange. I had orange and yellows, bright yellows and whites, and all different color sunflowers. Here's a big one. Here's a more pale one. They've just about had it, but the more I cut, the more they'll blossom, provided that we don't get big frost or anything soon. So I've got some work cut out for me. Anyway, that's my 2024 Dahlia Perennial Sunflower Zinnia garden video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't stutter too much. And as always, we're missing our special guest, Pete. But we know he's here with us in spirit. Have a good day, everybody. It's starting to look like rain. See you on the flip side. Bye.